this is something I see coming up so often in my coaching, is that women have just a total lack of self-compassion. I just finished watching a great TED Talk from Brene Brown. She's a social science researcher, and she was talking about the power of vulnerability. Now, as soon as I saw that title, I couldn't help, even though I wasn't working, think about, whoa, PCOS can make you feel so vulnerable. First of all, it's basically a rubber stamp telling you there's something wrong with you, right? That you're not quite the same as everyone else. And if that diagnosis isn't enough, there's usually weight gain or acne, infertility, hair loss, or hair where you don't want it, making you feel different, vulnerable, and uncomfortable with who you are. And that kind of creates what I've discovered is a bit of PCOS shame, even though maybe 1 in 10 to 1 in 5 of us are living with PCOS right now, and we're totally not alone. And this is a common experience. There's still PCOS shame. There's still a hesitancy among women to really open up about PCOS a lot of times. After years of talking to and coaching women living with polycystic ovarian syndrome, I can tell you that that's a common pattern. And what brilliant Brene Brown pointed out is that in her research, she took a close look at people who she called wholehearted people. People that really just had a lot of happiness, a lot of joy in their life, and a deep sense of worthiness. And I don't know about you, but I could always use a stronger sense of worthiness in my life. And when she looked at these people and their lives, they had 3 factors in common, and they were courage, compassion, and connection. So first, Brene Brown talks about courage as the ability to tell your story from your heart. And I gotta tell you right now, if you're leaving PCOS out of your story, even though it's something you're really struggling with, if you're not sharing it with the people you love the most, that could probably create some shame and hold you back, right? Because you're not telling your whole story. As far as I'm concerned, PCOS is one of the many imperfections that make me who I am. And it obviously is a big part of my life. The next thing she started talking about was compassion. And she said that it is impossible to have real compassion for other people if you don't have it for yourself. And this is something I see coming up so often in my coaching, is that women have just a total lack of self-compassion. They come to me disappointed in themselves, angry that they can't change. And you're easily upset by just the smallest misstep, and it throws you off from all of your plans or desires to maybe live a healthier lifestyle or start an exercise habit. Because without self-compassion, it is so difficult to change, because you will mess up. You are imperfect. You're vulnerable. PCOS makes you vulnerable. And without that bit of self-compassion, it's really hard to grow and to just take hold of your life and thrive in spite of PCOS and the vulnerability it brings into your life. And the last thing she talked about was connection. And the part of being connected to other people is being open and comfortable in sharing the things that make you vulnerable to others. So maybe you're not open with very many people about PCOS, and I don't think that you need to be like me and start a blog and start talking about all your PCOS problems. That might be, whoa, way too much for you. But there should be people in your life that know that this is a thing that you struggle with, and that you're learning and growing and changing and trying to be more compassionate with yourself and your body as you deal with this syndrome. And if you haven't reached out and found that one person yet that you feel connected enough to, that you can share this part of your story with, so that you can begin having self-compassion, so that you can begin growing and changing, I would encourage you to think about doing that. Because as I said before, who wouldn't want to be a wholehearted person? Doesn't that sound great? PCOS or no, you can be, or maybe you already are, a wholehearted